Hello and welcome. You're watching Best of the Bets. My name's Christina Nicolaides and we're looking at all of this weekend's sport in action, specifically focusing on football. Once again, regular guests. I have Sam Diamond with me, who's editor of bestofthebets.com, and I have our bookie extraordinaire with us. I have Gareth Walker. We're looking at this weekend's games. Let's run through Saturday's Premier League fixture list. We're going to start with the early kick-off. Wigan versus Arsenal.
Crisis? What crisis? Everything is rosy in the Arsenal garden again.
Yeah, I still think there might be a crisis.
The prices for this game, Wigan are 4.8, the draw's 3.9, and Arsenal are 1.8. There's an old betting maxim, never back an odds-on shot away from home. Arsenal have had 4 away games where they've been odds-on so far this season, won 2 and lost 2. So the puzzle really for this game is are we prepared to trust Arsenal at 1.8?
Well, I think I am, but it is dependent really on the side that we can put out. There's still doubts over Gary Caldwell and even Rami at centre-half.
Yeah.
I think if they are out, then Wigan aren't as weak as Reading, but it's another weak side they're playing. I think Wigan have lost 5 of the last 7.
Yeah, I was looking at an angle thinking I'd like to oppose Arsenal really, but I don't think Wigan are the right team to do that with. Been a bit disappointed with Wigan the last couple of weeks. They've slipped into the bottom 3. Wigan maybe to nick it 1-0, 11.25, but I think more likely we'd probably be looking at sort of a 3-1, 2-1 to Arsenal. 3-1 to Arsenal is 11.3, 4-1 to Arsenal even 18.2. You know, you could see quite a few goals I'd expect.
Yeah, and I quite like both teams to score as well. Like I said, Arsenal did look shaky at the back at times on Monday night. Yeah, Wigan are conceding goals. So
yeah, it's 1.6 for both teams to score. Great way of having an interest in any game, basically.
Yeah. I like the 3-1 to Arsenal. Yeah, providing those 2 players are out for Wigan.
Yeah, that's 11.3. I'll be a bit more cautious. Just go 2-1 Arsenal, which is 7.5.
Okay. Next game we're going to look at is Tottenham versus Stoke. Charlie Adam, we know, is out, unfortunately. His father passed away.
Yeah, Tottenham, I just can't really get my head around them this season.
In the top 4?
They are in the top 4. It's where they want to be. And
Moussa Dembele, which you mentioned last week.
Yeah, well, yeah, let's not start me off again.
I think it's Jan Vertonghen that you want to talk about.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't like to bring it up. But
okay. The prices for this game, Tottenham are 1.6, the draw is 4, and Stoke are 6.4. Stoke, well, what a team. The defence, you just have to be so impressed with how organised they are. They've conceded the fewest goals in the Premier League this season, and you can see why. They're very organised, really work hard. Their problem is that the other end, they're the joint lowest scorers. They've only scored 15 in 17 games. That's the same as Reading and QPR, who are the other 2 bottom scorers in the division. So I don't really see that there'll be many goals in this one. A bet I do like is the under 2.5 goals, that it'll be basically finished 0-0 or 1-0, 1-1 or 2-0 either way. Under 2.5 goals is 1.86, and I like that. And the sort of correct scores I'd be looking at, 0-0 is 10, 1-1, 7.5. I think Stoke could get something at White Hart Lane, actually. Really do.
I'm not so sure about that. I do also like the under 2.5 goals. 7 of Stoke's 9 away games have gone that way this season, but they've only won 1 of those. We know how hard they are to sort of break down at the Britannia, but away from home they've only won 1. I think it's they've drawn 5 and lost 3 on the travels. I think Tottenham will nick this 1 or 2-0.
Yeah, draw for me. And just a reminder for everyone that this game, as with all the English Premier League games this weekend, qualifies for our penalty payback concession. Any bets placed on first or last goal scorers or correct scores, if a penalty is awarded in that match, then HeavenBet will refund stakes on those markets.
Okay, so Sam, your prediction then?
I will go 2-0 Tottenham.
2-0, which is 7.8. I'm going to go for 1-1, which is 7.5.
Okay. We're going to move on to West Ham versus Everton. West Ham, I mean, they've got so many injuries. Everton, they're going to be without Fellaini for 3 matches.
He's having Christmas at home with his mum this year, isn't he? Yeah, that was a very strange incident, and I think Everton can count themselves fortunate that he only got a 3-match ban in the end, because if the FA had chosen to look at it a bit differently, he could have been looking at a much lengthier ban.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong at having Christmas at home with your mum, though, is there?
Well,
And I haven't even had to headbutt anyone for that, so...
I'll take your
maybe he thought
word
the
for that.
hair was going to cushion it, but...
I'm sure
I think he probably did.
I'm sure if he'd been bald, he would have got a much bigger ban.
Yeah.
I think that was definitely taken into account. The prices for this: West Ham are 3, the draw's 3.3, and Everton are 2.6.
Yeah, and Everton drew again last week, and we called it. It's
You
now
called it.
I called it.
Yeah.
8 out of 11 they've drawn, and Fellaini is going to be a huge miss for them, as is his fellow Belgian Kevin Mraz, who went off with a hamstring injury.
Yeah.
Between them, they've been responsible for 14 of Everton's 28 goals. Half of the goals either scored or assisted.
I think this could finish... I think this could just be a 0-0.
0-0
is what I've got.
0-0's 8.4. Oh, you're both going
Yeah.
low. I actually think there could be goals in this. I think that Everton are prone to having an early goal in their game. They seem to be conceding early in a lot of games, or obviously scoring as well. So I think that I think there could be goals here. I actually like the overs bet here, which is odds against for over 2.5 goals, and I like the look of Everton 3-1 at 16.5. Every single week I look at Everton and think they were unlucky not to win the game. But yeah, 3.3. They are the division's draw specialists. They keep on drawing. More than half their games have ended in a draw. 3.3 for the draw. For the third week in a row, I'm going to keep faith with Everton. I do like Everton at 2.6.
Blinkered.
Quite possibly, yes.
Well, we'll know, won't we, next week?
We'll see.
Next game we're going to look at is Newcastle versus QPR. Hassan Ben Arfa, unfortunately, is going to be out again, so aggravated hamstring, so won't be playing.
Newcastle 2.1, the draw's 3.5, and QPR 3.8.
But for Newcastle, they are playing QPR. If Newcastle cannot beat QPR, then if I was wearing a hat, I'd say, I'd eat my hat. But
I think you've summed up there. To Newcastle fans at the moment seem all right with things. They're disappointed with how the league's going. I think there's going to be real pressure on the pitch on Saturday.
Yeah, agreed.
And I think that'll. I think that could show through in the performance. I think that if it's level after an hour, those home fans are not going to be happy.
QPR fully deserved their win last week. They got their tactics absolutely right. However, as I said, they're not going to play a team quite as bad as Fulham again this season. They played a very tight. They made real use of Loftus Road being sort of very compact. I think at St James's Park, where it's more expansive, they could find themselves picked off. And even when, after a game that QPR dominated so much last week, when Fulham got a goal back with just a couple of minutes to go, the panic set in, and you could feel it. Both it was on the pitch and it was in the stands. And it yet again sort of goes back to QPR late in games sort of fading.
I don't think there's going to be many goals. I go 1-0 Newcastle.
I think Newcastle win 2-1.
2-1 is 7.9. 1-0 is 9.2. I'm going to contradict you both. I'm going for a QPR win. I think QPR could nick this. 2-1 is 10.5. That's where my money's going.
If you want to place a bet on this weekend's games and more, then head to www.heavenbet.com. And you'll also find us now on Twitter. It's @BestOfTheBets. And we're going to move on to the next game now. We're moving on to Southampton-Sunderland.
Relegation 6-pointer. Southampton at 2
versus 16th.
2 for Southampton, just a shade of odds against. The draw's 3.6 and Sunderland are 3.8.
It is a big game at the bottom. Southampton now haven't played for a couple of weeks because their game with Chelsea was rearranged.
Yeah.
Normally for a team at the bottom you think that would be a good time to take a break, but Southampton were in their best form of the season and it could well have just disrupted them ever so slightly. I do like the home win here, but I think there's concerns about Adam Lallana's fitness, and if he is to miss out, that would be a big loss for them. He's a real sort of creative force behind the striker.
Yeah.
But they're playing Sunderland, and without wishing to be too critical, because we often are.
I've been very critical of Sunderland.
We're still really yet to see anything from them.
Sunderland are playing better in patches than they were earlier in the season, but they've still had the fewest shots on goal in the league. And I think that the home win here is the bet. And a couple of scores I'd be looking at. 2-1 is 8, 3-1 is 13. Those would be the two that I'd definitely be going with.
Sam?
Yeah, it is a tricky one. I think Southampton will edge this 2-1.
2-1, which is 8. The question mark about Fletcher's participation is key. I'll go with 3-1 at 13.
OK. Next game, Manchester City versus Reading. Do we need to say much on this?
No.
Manchester City to win? All three agreed?
1.13 Man City, the draw's 9, Reading are 20. It's the most one-sided betting heat we've had in the Premier League, in England, in fact, this year. Last time a team were this short was Man City to beat QPR, last game of last season. Reading could take heart from the fact that City were run close by QPR, but I think this is a case of nothing can go wrong. Man City to win, definitely.
No, I can't see a bet in this one, to be honest. You can have some speculative big score lines, but apart from that, I'd just look somewhere else.
Right, the next game we're going to look at is West Brom versus Norwich. We're going to go to bestofthebets.com, Mike Holden, and find out what he has to say about this particular game.
The game that grabs my attention in the Premier League on Saturday is the West Brom-Norwich game at the Hawthorns. Two managers who have won a lot of respect this season, and deservedly so, for the jobs that they've done. Steve Clarke at West Brom and Chris Hughton at Norwich. They're both, for me, rather cagey managers in so much that they wait for the other team to make the first move, shall we say. And it could be a bit of a chess game, this. West Brom have lost a little bit of form, so confidence won't be too high for them off the back of recent results. They played out a 0-0 against West Ham on the television at the weekend, and I can just see this being a cagey game, one to play under 2.5 goals. Anything around the even money mark.
Right, Gareth, so we've heard what Mike Holden has to say.
Yeah, good to look at it from a different angle. The outright prices there, West Brom are 2, the draw's 3.5, and Norwich are 4.2. Mike was looking at definitely unders. He's not seen many goals at the game. So you can go for under 2.5 goals in the match, which is 1.95.
Yeah.
So a couple of correct scores, perhaps 0-0 is 11, 1-1 is 7. And we've also got a goal crazy market on this, where you can back more. It's in 3 bands, either 0 or 1 goal in the match, 2 or 3 goals in the match, or 4+ goals. So I'm sure Mike will be interested in the 3.5 that we've got on offer for 0 or 1 goal. And the other bet that he perhaps would be interested in as well for his full house would be both teams not to score, which is 1.9. Sam referred to the both teams to score in the Wigan-Arsenal game, where we see a lot of goals. This one, Mike's not seeing many goals there, so if only one team or neither team finds the net, then both teams not to score at 1.9 would be a winner.
I like Norwich too, and I was very keen to get with them against Wigan last week. I said it would be a comfortable win. Yet again, they just scraped past them. So all 6 of Norwich's wins this season have been just by the odd goal. So you can do a winning margin bet. You
can go for a team, obviously, to win the game, but you can also go for a team to win the game by exactly 1 goal, or for a team to win the game by 2 or more goals, a special market on Heaven Bet. So for Norwich to win the game by 1 goal exactly is 5.5. And the fact that they've won all 6 of their games by 1 goal is a tempter.
OK, and Liverpool versus Fulham.
Fulham. Tell us about Fulham, Sam. You know them best.
Well, no, I can see this being sort of done and dusted quite early in the game. So I like Liverpool half-time, full-time for that very reason. 2.25.
2.25 for the half-time,
and I
full-time.
can see it being as a 3-0 scoreline or something like that. But oddly enough, Fulham were one of the teams to win at Liverpool this year back in May. It's not going to be the same this time.
3-0's 9.5, 2-0 5.8. But I'm gonna have a bit of faith in your boys and go with the draw. 4.25.
Best of luck.
So best bet then for Saturday. Sam, what are you going for?
Well, I've seen it with my own eyes just how poor Fulham are at the moment, so I am going to go with this Liverpool half-time, full-time.
So that half-time, full-time is 2.25. I definitely I've got a clear standout bet this week, which is Norwich at 4.2. Fantastic value bet. That's my best bet of the week. Really good. And yours?
I'm going to go for a Newcastle win again.
No, this week we're asking for, not last week's best bet.
It is. They are playing QPR. Come on, Newcastle. Keep the faith in the Toon army. I'm going to go 2-0 Newcastle.
As the best bet, 2-0, 8.7. Good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
May the best team win.
Yeah, I hope so.
May the least
I hope
worst
the best team wins.
Actually, may the least worst team win, I'd say.
Remember, for you to place your bets on this weekend's games and more, head to www.heavenbet.com. We're going to go to a break. After the break, we're going to look at Sunday's games and European action. Join us then. Bye-bye.
betting site from Poker Heaven.